How do you plan your motorcycle trips? Are you the kind of person that just picks a direction and ends up where you end up and you stop where you stop? Or do you lay some groundwork before you even leave? In this video, I'm going to go over how I like to plan and prepare for a trip, and I'll kind of get into some details with you. Right now, I'm searching for where we're going to go and where we're going to stay. We'll get into more details coming up. What's going on, everybody? My name's Andrew. This is Touring Midwest, and in this video we're preparing to do some touring, and I'll get into more of that as we go. Now, I've got up the Minnesota State Parks and Trails website here, and I'm just trying to decide where I want to go. And let me just select some of the stuff we need. Camping, tent. Now I'm looking for a drive-in electric site, and the reason for that is because I have a lot of camera gear and things. I want to make some videos while we're out, so I need to be able to keep those batteries charged, and obviously can't charge everything off of the motorcycle, so I'm looking for an electric campsite. I think we probably want to go Tuesday, and I think we're going to try to stay through Friday, maybe 3 nights. Length of stay 3 nights. Okay, I think that should be right. We're going to search. Now, part of the problem right now is the state parks are just starting to do somewhat of a slow opening after all this COVID stuff. I mean, we're still dealing with it all, but that's part of the issue here, is things are really booked up. So what I'm trying to do is, we're going to stay in Minnesota for this trip, but we do want to get out a little bit. And I'm just trying to decide which direction we want to go, and if I can get the campsite that I want to get when we get there. All right. So you have to make reservations right now. It's just the way it is. It's going to be kind of a pain in the butt, but we're going to do it. We're going to do it. I'm on vacation this week. I have Gavin this week, so we want to get out and do some exploring, and we want to take you guys along with us. So that's what I'm working on. So that's the first step. The second step starts here. We're not going to start packing stuff into the bike. We're going to make a list of what we need to bring, or what we want to bring. I'll start with a fresh list every single time. I usually keep an older list just so I can check that and go, oh yeah, I need to remember to put that on. Because if I had a successful trip in the past with a list, I can kind of go off of that and go, oh, we never even used this, but I wish I would have brought this. You know what I mean? So keep notes of your previous trips as you go along, and that's basically step one to preparing for a motorcycle trip. And it's totally up to you if you want to do a physical list like I am, pen to paper, or if you want to do a digital list on your phone. That's perfectly fine as well. Whatever works best for you. I like writing. I don't really like writing, but when it comes to lists, I guess I do. I like having that physical list with me. I don't know why. It's just how I do. It's easier for me to focus on that, I think, rather than if I'm out working or doing something else and I need to add something to a list real quick, I will get out my phone and use something like Google Keep, or some notes or something like that. But then I also have to remember to check those notes, and I don't always remember to do that. So having a physical list on a notebook is a great place for me to start. While I'm making my list, I get to this point. Something like a fishing pole, such as this telescoping collapsible fishing pole. Now this is definitely something small enough that I can take on the bike, no problem. It's super light, has a little carrying sleeve, and that is fine and dandy. But I need to determine, since I'm not exactly sure where we're going yet, that's going to make a difference. If we're camping someplace where there's a lake nearby, yes, I'm probably going to bring my fishing pole. If we pick a spot where there's not really a lake, like along the Mississippi River or something, I know there are inlets and things that you can fish, or streams, but I need to decide, am I going to bring a fishing pole, or maybe I'm not going to need one, depending on where I am and what's the surroundings like, right? I would love to camp someplace where I could bring a fishing pole, and I'm just going to bring the one because I only have the one. If Gavin wants to fish, we'll let him fish. If he gets bored with it, I'll take over, see if we can catch a meal when we're out there. So I think that's a goal of mine, is try to find a location that is supposed to have pretty decent fishing so we can try to catch a meal. And speaking of meals, that brings me to the second thing. Now, if you've been watching my channel for a while, you know that we've talked about a few different methods for preparing meals while you're camping. We've got the jet boil now, we've talked about the pie irons before, we've talked about cooking with tin foil. So I think it's a pretty good plan, since obviously you're trying to save room, or you're trying to have as much room on your bike as possible for all your stuff, and you also want to keep the weight down. Now when we're talking about things like the jet boil and tin foil, not a lot of weight there. There is a little bit of weight with the pie irons, but they don't take up a ton of space. So theoretically, I believe that I could get all of that packed on the bike and just have it. But the fact of the matter is, if we're not going to make a meal that requires the pie iron, we might as well leave it alone. So while you're making your list of things that you want to bring, consider that by considering what meals you want to make for the week. If you're going to be gone for 3 days or 4 days or a week, whatever, try to figure out how many meals are you going to eat at camp, how many meals are you going to eat when you're out touring, or if that's what you're going to be doing is riding around and things, maybe you're going to eat lunch while you're out on the bike. So that's a meal that you won't have to worry about. But it's not a bad idea, as long as you're making your list of what am I going to bring. Also think about what are you going to prepare for meals when you're out there. And remember, we're going to get all of our gear to camp, get the tent set up, get camp set up, get the bike completely unloaded, and then we're going to head in and grab our food, because it doesn't make a lot of sense, to me anyways, to bring all of that food with you when space on the bike is such a necessity. Something to think about, something to consider. I know we're going to be gone for 3 or 4 days. I need to figure out ahead of time, what kind of meals do I want to be preparing when I'm out there? What am I going to want to eat? What's Gavin going to want to eat? That could be 2 separate things, because I mean, he's kind of a picky kid. Shh, don't tell him. For breakfast, I am not a huge breakfast guy, to be honest with you, but when I'm camping, I do like some camp food, breakfast food. Yeah. So I'm thinking eggs, bacon, sausage, maybe some pancakes. We've got the Jet Boil Summit skillet now, so some of this stuff is not out of the question. We could easily do hash browns or eggs or pancakes, whatever we want in here. Now I think Gavin is pretty basic when it comes to breakfast most of the time. He might want some pancakes here and there, but for the most part he's going to want cereal. So I think what we're going to do is just pack some Ziplocs with cereal, and I'll bring a bowl, or maybe a disposable bowl of some sort, because I haven't gotten a collapsible bowl yet. That's not actually a bad idea. So I think that's an option as well. So I'm going to sit here, work on my list, and also work on my meal list. And that's all part of my preparation. When I'm working on my preparation list, I'll start at the top with things that I know I'm going to need. Obviously tent, sleeping bags, sleeping pads, ground cloth for the tent. And then down here, I'll put the stuff that I'm not quite sure about yet, like fishing pole and tackle. So that's stuff that I definitely want to bring. Am I going to be staying in an area where I can even use a fishing pole? It's the kind of questions you need to ask yourself. And I'll always put those down lower so I can focus on the absolute necessities at the top and worry about this other stuff when the time comes. Another thing I like to do when I'm making my list is I will add clothes to the main thing, because obviously we need to bring clothes, but then I'll make a separate section over here that says clothes. And then I can actually write out specifically what I'm going to need and what I'm going to pack for Gavin to bring along. And we're going to try to keep that pretty small. So I think we obviously need jeans for riding, but Gavin will probably want a pair of shorts for if we're just hanging out at camp, depending on how hot it is. And if we're in an area where he could swim, he might want swimming trunks. I'm pretty good with just jeans most of the time, but these are things you got to think about as well. One thing that I'm trying to take into consideration also is I've been riding by myself for a long time. I've got a lot of the gear I need. I've got the leather jacket, I've got the rain gear, I've got the heated gear, right? Problem is, I do have rain gear for myself, but I do not yet have rain gear for Gavin. I've found it very difficult to find the gear that I need, the riding gear that I need to have for Gavin. They just don't make a lot of kids sizes. I know John from Dad and Mad has managed to find some actually really legit riding gear for Mad, and I am just not having that sort of luck trying to find riding gear for Gavin. So if you guys have any tips or ideas, let me know down in the comments below of where I can get some of that here in the States. But so far, yeah, I'm really having a hard time with it. So that's a bit of an issue. I will probably pack my rain gear because my rain gear is always on the bike anyways. But the fact of the matter is I just don't have it for Gavin, so hopefully we won't have to ride in the rain. If it's storming and stuff, we won't be able to, because poor Gav would be absolutely soaked. So that's something I'm trying to work around too, because there is some rain in the forecast, I think, for Thursday. So trying to plan around that, and that could definitely change in the next day or two. So that's something that's on my mind.